It's absolutely astounding that every day we encounter over 2,500 different touch points that influence everything from our family life to work to health to money and so much more. And I'm sure that everyone who's watching this right now can absolutely sympathize with that. So being ignored really is the biggest challenge that marketers and business owners have in 2025 and beyond. There's actually bigger risk of being ignored in 2025 at any time in IMI's 53-year history. And so let's just pause on that for a minute, because that's a really big challenge that we all have ahead of us, which is why it's really important to understand why people buy. And that will put you in a position to essentially fuel growth. And that's what Emma Chase and I are here to talk about today, is really bring up to the surface the top 10 themes and top 10 tactics that drive people's purchase. And of course, there are different vantage points, there's different categories, there's different brands. We measure those as well. But today we're just going to look at a high level in terms of a North American view and call out a few nuances that are happening in the environment today. One of the things that we talk about at IMI and we talk about with our clients all the time is that it's not about always on. Now, I do remember the time when it was like, we have to be always on. We always have to be in front of consumers. It's actually not about that, because that's not going to drive your ROI. And you're actually probably going to be wasting money if you do take that tactic. It's really about being absolutely intentional. Strategic positioning, strategic tactics, the message, know what you want to say, know the role that you play in consumers' lives, and then the medium. Now, you obviously need to adapt the message a little bit depending on what medium you're going to be displaying it on, but keeping that base is so much more important than saying, I need to be on this medium and now let's create something to be on that medium. So it's really about being intentional. So we're actually going to throw it out to you guys first, aren't we, Emma Chase?
Yes.
And ask you guys a question. What is the top purchase driver for North Americans in 2025? And so if you want to comment in the chat, there's trust is A, B, made in country, C, free shipping. What do you think?
I mean, I know what the answer has been historically, but there's been so much talk around made in country recently that I'm curious to see if that's almost floated towards the top.
Yeah, that's a big one, and we do hear that all the time. So do we want to show what it is?
Yeah, reveal the answer.
So the first one is trust. Trust is absolutely essential. 71% of North Americans purchase because it's a trusted brand. It's the same in Canada. It's the same in the US. And it's relatively high. It's always on top. But what we are seeing here is free shipping as well. And so 70% of people purchase because of free shipping. And we can actually see that it has increased substantially. And I don't think this is a surprise for anybody since 2021. And we can see some of the answers coming in now. We had trust, so got it. We had trust. Yeah. We had made in country. And so let's talk about that for a minute, because there has been a lot of talk about made in country. And we did do a full webinar and a report talking about consumer sentiment right now in Canada and the US and how brands can really drive forward in the environment that we're in. So let's talk about that for a minute. 41% of Americans have purchased a product because it was made in my country. 66% in Canada, so a little bit higher. And we did see this really accelerate from February until May. And now we're seeing it really level out, but it is staying consistent. So with that, if you can say made in Canada, support Canada, product of Canada, made in the USA, supports USA or community, that's free. And it should be leveraged as part of your strategy if you can. So if you can do it, absolutely leverage it, but it can't be everything. And that's really the key that we've been talking to a lot of marketers about, is that use it, but it should not be your sole focus. You do need to build your brand on itself and leverage it to increase that purchase intent. So at a high level, let's take a step back for a minute. There are 12 core themes that drive purchase, and this is what we pull out of our IMI online database Pulse. Product and brand specific, wellness, delivery, digital, emotional, promotional, influence, in-store, it's still alive. We'll talk about that in a minute. Sample and interaction, recommendation and reviews, social media, and traditional. So as a marketer, as a business owner, there are so many ways in which you can drive purchase for your brand. So really understanding what is instrumental to the purchaser that you currently have or that you're looking to attract is what's going to be essential for you to be able to move forward. So let's drive into then the top drivers of purchase. We talked about today, this is going to be the top 10 that we are focusing on. Top drivers across North America are relatively consistent with some nuances, and they fall into 6 key themes. So brand, digital, delivery, promotion, and emotion. And that's fairly consistent across North America. Some toggle a little bit up and down, but it is relatively consistent, Canada, US, as well as Mexico. So let's dive into a few of these in 3 key groupings. The first is trusted brand, making people feel good and health. They drive tremendous impact. So why don't we unpack these for a second, Emma Chase?
Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, we know trust is number one all of the time. But I think a lot of people will want to know what happens when a brand loses trust.
Yeah, and we've had that question a number of times. We actually had that coming into this session as well. So really good one to bring up. What's important to understand is that when you're looking to drive trust, there are a number of factors that help drive a trust for your brand. So you have to understand what's worth for you, but quality, value, sampling, experience, dependability, as well as transparency. Those are some of the key drivers of trust overall. If you have a trusted brand, make sure you maintain it. It takes about 5 years on average to build that trust. If you don't have a trusted brand, make sure that you take the steps to actually build it. If you do lose it, there's 65% that may come back with action. And of course, if you have a strong brand, they're more likely to come back to you than if you don't have a strong brand. 30% say they're not going to come back to you once the trust is lost. And then 5% say that they don't know. And that's not unusual. 5 to 20% say that they don't know, any of it. But the other thing to understand within that 65% is that 34% say, pay me. So give me money, give me merchandise, give me a discount. And so obviously that's going to have an impact on your bottom line. It's going to have an impact on your profitability. It's going to have an impact on your ROI. So you don't necessarily, you want to protect that as much as possible. And 31% say, own it. Be honest, be transparent, say you're sorry. And so there are ways that you can regain the trust. If you lose it, there are some people you're going to lose, but just think about keeping the trust as much as you possibly can. One other fact that we talk about a lot at IMI is that there's over $30 billion lost annually in North America due to frustration with an experience alone.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And that's online, that's in store. So think about that as well, because trust is also driven by experience.
Yeah.
And so if you keep that trust and you drive a positive experience at every touch point, you can really help accelerate your brand forward and your business forward versus always having to go backwards and dig into your profitability and your ROI in order to say, I'm sorry, and pay out.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that notion of just own it. Sometimes the easiest or the simplest thing can just be the most effective. So I really love that idea of just own it. If you mess up, just own it like you would in any other situation.
Be real.
Be real. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know that we talked about brands making people feel good. I'm thinking that maybe we can dive into what that actually means. Like, what does it mean for a brand to make someone feel good?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and again, it's one that we get a lot. Is making feel good only emotional? Is making feel good functional as well? And the truth is that making people feel good can be emotional, it can be tactical, and it can be functional. There are some key themes that we did get straight from consumers, saying that quality and reliability. So think about Canadian Tire, think about Amazon, think about some of these favorite brands that always come to the top in terms of quality and reliability, experience and engagement. So think about that for a second. I mean, how many people have gone to concerts lately? How many people have engaged in something lately that gives you that feeling that you have in experiencing it with others and others that you love? But that will make you feel good, and that will make brands feel good and people feel good as well. Price discounts. I mean, who doesn't love a deal? I love a deal. I look
love
for
a
a
deal.
deal every day. Consumers are the same. And so price discounts and value. Personalization. Consider share a Coke. It keeps on coming back for more. And there's a reason for that. Consider Starbucks when they do a good job of personalization and that experience, that makes people feel good as well. Community and connection. So there is that made in country and that community connection that obviously has grown. So there are so many different factors that can go into making people feel good. Truly understanding your vantage point, what you have in your arsenal, and what is authentic to your brand is what's essential to ensure that you are making people feel good and helping drive your business forward at the same time.
Absolutely. It's amazing being able to show up in consumers day to day and just create something memorable. Like it can be so effective.
It's actually a gift.
It
And
is.
so as brand owners and as business owners, it's a big gift for us to be able to, with everything going on in people's worlds and everything people are experiencing day to day, financial tensions, health tensions, many different things on people's minds. It's a gift that you can
Yeah.
actually impart a moment of making that person feel good. And
Yeah.
so if it can help drive your business forward and you can feel good by doing that, isn't that a win-win situation?
Yeah, 100%. And I love that flip of the language of it not being an opportunity, but a gift on the brand side, which is a really nice, like human centric way to put that. I want to make sure that we cover the last driver that we just talked about
Yeah.
in terms of health and wellness, because I know we're getting a lot of questions around that. Is a huge trend right now. So, how would a brand that exists outside of that health wellness category be able to participate in that trend?
That's a really good question. Health and wellness has been, top of mind for many of our clients, and also new clients that have been coming to us and asking about how do I home in on this growth driver that's happening right now. What's really important to understand is that being healthy has high engagement in the US as well as in Canada. There is a heightened excitement, and this is what actually excited us, is that there is strong engagement across the board. But what's exciting is more people are excited about being healthy. And so if as a brand, product or service, if you can help motivate that excitement, I mean, again, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It is really important to take a step back and understand there is that say-do gap. And we talk about the say-do gap all the time. And I think we experience it in our own lives where 61% say that they only eat healthy specifically, but then 70% say they eat fast food, 71% say they eat candy. And so, the math doesn't really equate there.
Yeah.
So there is that room for indulgence. And so if you are a brand that, you're sitting back and basically saying, I really can't play in that world. What is my role right now? You do have a role. You just need to figure out how to best connect with the consumer that wants to connect with you or should connect with you or is connecting with your competitor. We always look at competitors best as well. And then figure out what it is that's going to motivate them, make them feel good and trust you to drive that purchase. And so, all that to say, health and wellness, it is growing, it is prevalent. It's not everything in everybody's life. Not everybody is, I'm only going to be healthy all the time. And so, as a brand, product, or service, unless you look at it as also a diversification of your revenue streams, there are ways that you can home in, and there are ways that you can absolutely connect in the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that say-do gap so interesting. I mean, that might as well be just like a case study of my own consumption habits. But
Yep.
yeah, no, I totally relate to that. How about we unpack the rest of the drivers?
Yeah, let's do that.
Whoop.
All right. So let's go into the next one where it's online. Online is really strong for exploration, but it's also purchase driven by ease. And so obviously we saw that there is an increase in online, there is an increase in delivery, live tracking, though that has increased in terms of double digits. But it really plays two roles. People can explore online and then go shop in store, or they shop online and they're looking for that free shipping. They're looking for the ease of delivery, the live tracking as well. And so these are also top drivers of purchase that we need to keep our eyes on.
Yeah. When it comes to shopping online, it seems like ease and convenience has become the status quo. I'm sure other people might be wondering, how does that translate into retail?
Yeah, it's so we also get this question a lot in terms of, should I only be online and digital only, digital forward? The reality is that people shop in both, and we'll get to that in a second because we want to hear your opinions on that as well. If you are focused online, really dial up the fact that it's fun, it's easy, the choice, as well as that there's no salespeople.
Yeah.
When it comes to ease, when you're in store, really dialing up the people. And so the ease of the customer experience and that interaction to answer the questions that you have in real time, that will help drive ease of the experience, as well as the sensory factor, touching and feeling things and seeing it for yourself, and the pure enjoyment of going out. And maybe it's shopping with friends. It's not necessarily ever shopping with your kids, because we know that causes a lot of frustration, but maybe it is shopping with your friends or shopping with your spouse. And again, that's also 50-50 that we see with consumers in terms of ease.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for for putting that into a retail context for everybody else who's tuning in. I'm really curious to see how promotions weigh into that.
Yeah, first let's actually ask everybody here. Let's see what you guys think in terms of the percentage of people that shop in store versus online. We want to put you guys on the hot seat a little bit. So in store versus online, 70% versus 85%, 62% versus 78%, or 82% versus 80%. So this is the percentage of people that shop in store versus online. So why don't we just pause for a minute and see what you guys are thinking in the audience?
Yeah, we'll let everyone weigh in a little bit. Are you more of an online shopper yourself, Vanessa?
I'm kind of both. Each of them has their lanes for me. I'm not a big shopper, truth be told. I am a very efficient shopper. I know what I want and I know what I need, and then I go in and I get it and I get out as fast as possible. So I do browse online, and sometimes that will lead me to purchase online as well. But there are things that I need to purchase live. Groceries I need to purchase live. Some clothes I need to purchase live, although I just really like shopping is not my thing. But what about you, Emma Chase?
As long as it's shopping, I'm there.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask me twice, any which way.
So there you go. There's polar opposites, and
Yeah.
that's what consumers are made of. So we never really know ourselves, right?
No, and we're getting quite a few answers. A lot of folks are stuck between B and C. So do you want to reveal the final answer, Vanessa?
Yeah, let's do that. So it's actually C. So 82% shop in store, 80% shop online. This is really the same in the US, in Canada, a little bit different from an in-store perspective. In Mexico specifically, they do skew towards in-store more than the rest of North America. So again, really important to understand how you can activate each of the vantage points, because they both have their benefits and they both have their downfalls.
That's awesome.
So let's jump to the last one. This is the last theme in terms of the top drivers of purchase: price, buy one, get one free, promotions. They absolutely have tremendous impact that we're seeing here. Special price for a limited time. It's really important to remember that people will always fall back to price unless your brand is strong. And so you have to have a balance of both. It is a race to the bottom in terms of profitability if you only focus in on the pricing side of the tactic. And really also important to know that on average, 80% of decisions are made outside of lowest price alone. So it's really about value, and promotions specifically are a really good way to show value to your consumer or the consumer you're looking to recruit, but also to try to drive trial as well. And then if you deliver, they will keep on coming back for more.
It's so interesting. And I mean, we do know that consumers default on price a lot of the time, but not always. But I was wondering if you'd be able to share some best practices around promotion.
In terms of best practices, I mean, the biggest best practice that we have, that we always see in terms of promotion, is ease and instant impact. So instant win always rises to the top. There are many best practices that we have. Happy to share if anyone is interested. We have a full webinar on promotional best practices, but instant wins are absolutely critical. So think about yourself as a consumer as well. You want to get that end result fast. You don't want to have to go back to do it again. And thinking about Tim's roll up the rim, and that is a promotion that has been living for a very long time. And it is one of the best in class promotions that we have seen in our 53-year history at IMI. And so leaning into ease and immediate impact are definitely the way to go.
That's awesome.
So that's really what we had for today. There's so much more to unpack, and we wish we had longer with you, but thank you so much for joining. I know that we might have some questions that have come in. We did have another question that came in earlier, but if you want to see the full report and really dive into the details a little bit more, you can scan the QR code to download it. There are also a lot of organizations that Emma Chase and I have gone into to talk about why people buy. And we have so much at our fingertips as it relates to categories. We have about 400 different categories, 800 different brands. And so many organizations have actually asked us to come in and be a part of their Tuesday meeting, either a strategy session, just to spark some type of inspiration coming from outside of the boardroom and outside of the office. And so if that is something that's of interest to you, or you want to chat more, please feel free to slip us a DM on LinkedIn or send us a message, either Emma Chase or I, and we'd be happy to have a conversation and take it further for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always love meeting people in person too, which is really nice. We did have one question come in from our newsletter. Vanessa, if we have time to fit one in.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone was interested in understanding how the different purchase drivers differ per generation, specifically with Gen Z. Everyone wants to know about Gen Z.
Yeah.
So what is your answer to that?
You know, Gen Z is a hot topic because everyone's looking to recruit the next generation, obviously. The one thing that was really surprising actually to us as we dove into Gen Z, and there's going to be more on this, we have some new thought leadership that's going to be coming out on Gen Z in the coming months. But people always talk about the fact that Gen Z is not motivated and they don't want to be motivated. And that's actually false, because brands that motivate Gen Z as well as millennials are actually stronger than those as it relates to a purchase driver than with boomers as well as Gen X.
Crazy.
So if you are a brand and you have the ability to motivate, you are going to interact very well with Gen Z as well as millennials, because they are looking for brands to do that and to push them to do more and push them to think further. And so again, it's a gift. If you are a brand in that space and you can lean into that, that's a gift for you to be able to do, but it's also a gift to be able to recruit the next generation.
Yeah. Incredible. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. This was amazing. We're a little bit over time. As you can see, Vanessa and I can talk about these things forever. So truly, if you have any questions that we weren't able to answer today, please slide into our DMs, shoot us a note. We'd love to hear from you. We love to meet you in person. And thank you all so much for joining us today. And thank you, Vanessa, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Emma Chase, for the conversation. Thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.